Welcome back. You're watching Signature Morning on Signature Television. So we will talk about sports today because, of course, it concerns the Super Eagles. Not just because it concerns the Super Eagles. It was a some sort of row between Nigeria and Libya, given what happened in Libya. The Nigerian Super Eagles were stranded at an airport, at Al Apak Airport in Libya, all because the plane was diverted at the last minute of landing into that airport. And even when they landed, there were no officials of the Libyan Football Federation that came to visit them. There was no food given to them. There was no water given to them. And they stayed there for over 15 hours. And so the only decision that it had to take was to return back to Nigeria, a move that the Libyan Federation frowned at, and they said they would take legal action. We will speak to China Acheru, is a veteran sports journalist, who would give us an insight into what especially happened on that day. Good to have you, China. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be on your show too.
I don't know how you reacted to that latest development as regards that row between Nigeria and Libya. You have followed that particular news story. And another point that so many persons are making, especially from the point of view of the Libyan Federation, is that they did what they did because of how they were treated when they landed in Nigeria. Can you give us an overview of what really happened?
Yeah, that's what people are saying, especially from the Nigerian side, that it was a revenge move. But even at that, we have no proof of that, right? And the Libyans have also not said it was a revenge move. Now, the Libyans had some crisis in Nigeria, which they want to put on Nigeria's shoulders. But the truth is, granted, they had it rough when they came to Nigeria. They were so, in quotes, abandoned at the airport. They landed at the wrong airport. They had to make a 5-hour road trip from Port Harcourt to Uyo. All of that happened to them. You know what I mean? They passed through bad roads, through roads surrounded by forest on both sides. At the time their bus broke down. They passed through all of that. But was it a Nigerian plan? It's an example of me coming to visit you, and I refuse to ask you directions to your house. Then when I get lost, I blame you for getting lost. That's what happened. Because according to the Nigeria Football Federation's Assistant Director of Protocol, Ima Ayabumi, the Libyans did not respond to messages concerning their arrival. It was only 3 hours to touching down in Nigeria that they sent a message that they were about to touch down. And naturally, the NFS protocol team waited at the Uyo airport because that's where they should be. But they landed in Port Harcourt. They gave no clue as to where they're going to land. So so they actually had a rough ride in Nigeria, granted, right? But not because Nigeria wanted them to suffer, because the NFF did all they could do. They made the arrangements for their airline to land in New York from Port Harcourt, but when they chartered plane, and the charter company said, whatever you paid has expired, you have to pay some more. They didn't have it. The NFF sent buses and the security team to Port Harcourt to take them to Uyo. They turned down our buses, they hired their own buses. So they probably wanted to do things themselves. So I wouldn't blame Nigeria for that. Now, for the case in Libya, right, according to the pilot of the Valley jet plane, he was told not to land in Benghazi, and he was redirected to Alabra. That was not the case in Nigeria. Then again, the airport was shut and did not let our team come outside. So you can see a plan to hold hostage the Nigerian team. Now, was it a revenge move? The Libyans have not said that. The Libyans have put out a video showing their suffering in Nigeria, passing through the bad roads, passing through checkpoints that were run by local vigilante, and are trying to say, they are not saying this happened to us and we did this to you. Their propaganda now is that in spite of all that happened to us, we still played the game. Why didn't you play the game? That's what the Libyans are saying. But it's left for the CAF to make a ruling on this. Now, it's not the first time it's happening in African football, but this is the worst I've seen. And if CAF does not stop this now, it might even get worse than this.
Right. I listened to the coach, Egwaivoin, and he says that there wasn't any reason to go ahead to continue with that game, even though the Libya Football Federation is stating that, yes, all those things happened to them, but they went ahead to play the game. So why didn't you go ahead to play the game? But Egwaivoin was stating clearly that there was no way that that game would have been played in that condition. That it does look like the Libyan authorities didn't even want the Super Eagles in that country, because that was what it felt like. You can't keep people for 15 hours, going to 20 hours in an airport without any explanation. You wouldn't let them leave the airport. You wouldn't let them leave, to even, freshen up, to eat food, nothing. So it's totally different from what the experience that they had in Nigeria. But again, I'm just wondering, really, what move do you think the Confederation of African Football would take in this kinds of situation?
Well, it's CAF. For those of us in Africa who are either in West Africa, in South Africa, in East Africa, in Central Africa, we believe, I'm taking my words carefully, we believe in an Arab conspiracy in CAF. That's what most of us believe. We believe that because the CAF headquarters is located up there in North Africa, that most of the decisions go in favor of the North African teams. That's the belief of most of us down here. But having said that, now CAF can either outrightly decide not to replay that match, sanction the Libyans for what they did, throw them out of the competition, and ban them from further participation in African football until they prove they are ready to welcome visitors in their country. Now, CAF can do that. But will they do that? I don't think they will. Now, CAF can take the easy way out and just call for a replay, because they can let the other AFCON qualifiers go on in November and leave this one, because the AFCON is in December next year. There's a lot of time to play this one game. So CAF can call for a replay and reschedule it, then maybe fine the Libyans for not being organized enough to receive a visiting team. Or if there truly is an Arab conspiracy, if there truly is, CAF can throw Nigeria out of the competition for boycotting a game, regardless of what happened. They can do that. I'm just giving all the options. I'm giving all the options. They can actually throw Nigeria out of the competition for not playing a game. So those are options. But if you ask me, I think that CAF will take the easy way out. And the easiest way out of all of this is to fix a replay for the game, fine Libya a few $1,000s for bringing the game to disrepute, and life goes on for everybody. That's the easy way out for CAF. You don't offend Nigeria so much, and you don't offend Libya so much. Then the game is replayed, maybe on neutral ground. That's what I think CAF will do. But I also believe that, looking at it from a neutral point of view, because a lot of countries have complained about situations like this, not just from the Libyans, even though it's the worst I've seen. I think CAF should do more than that, but I don't think they will. They'll pick the easy way out.
The LFF, they attributed the travel difficulties they faced while in Uyo to them losing 1-0 to Nigeria. So, but they claim there's nothing that has to do with sabotage. There is no foul play in what happened back there in their own country. Do you think that's a lie? Do you think there's a little foul play between what happened in Libya?
Listen, there are things that countries and clubs do to upset the visiting teams. I've been traveling around Africa since 2005, and I've experienced a few of them. In 2005 in Malabo, when Dolphins FC played against Renacimento, on the eve of the game, the hotel turned off all the lights and claimed that there was no power and the generator was bad. So the Dolphins team slept in darkness and in heat until daybreak, where they had the game. I've been to Egypt to play against Arab contractors in Cairo. And on the eve of the game at 10 p.m., there was a brass band playing at the lobby of the hotel. It was so loud. And they played until 2 a.m., the day of the match. These are things that countries do or clubs do to upset the visiting team. So countries and clubs prepare for it. But when they delay, or sometimes they put you in a hotel in the city center, where there's so much noise, so much night girls moving in and out of the hotel, so your players cannot rest. They do these little things to distract you. But to hold a team hostage for 18 hours, that was the extreme, right? So, I mean, if you follow sports and if you know about sports science, you know that a football team has a program. They have a program. So when you arrive at a venue, there's a time to go to your room and take a bath. There's a time to rest, maybe a 1 hour, 2 hour nap. There's time to eat food that is specified by your nutritionist. There's time to go and train. It's time to do light workout. You go back to sleep. These things are programmed to keep you focused for the game. So if you lose 2 or 3 hours, you can always recover. But when you sit down in one place for 18 hours, no training, no light workout, no meals, no rest, nothing, there's no way you can play that game the next day. So the players were right. So what happened to the Libyans in Uyo, I will continue to say, because I followed it up, it actually happened to them. But it wasn't caused by Nigeria. It was caused by their decision not to communicate with their hosts. What happened to the Super Eagles in Libya? We, Nigeria, communicated with our hosts. They diverted the plane that was about to land, even when the pilot told them, I do not have enough fuel to go to another venue. They said, no, I have orders from above that this plane cannot land. The pilot had to divert the plane to another airport. And you know, Libya is a country run by two governments. One government controls two cities, the other government controls other cities. Then at 11 p.m., you now tell the players to get on the bus and travel 3 hours. Nobody will do that. So I think it was a well-orchestrated plan to stop the Nigerian team from being focused to play the game. Yes, that's what I think. But again, we have to prove these allegations.
So what was Nigeria's stance on CAF's actions and recommendations?
No, CAF has not spoken yet. Now, the day the team departed back to Nigeria, CAF issued a statement saying their disciplinary committee will investigate the matter and come out with a ruling. Up till this morning, unless at midnight, or up till this morning, series of posts on social media, those do not come from CAF. CAF has no at least as at 6 a.m. this morning, I think CAF will do and what I think they can write in.
All right. I mean, football is supposed to unite people. We've seen the role football play from Africa to Europe, from Europe to Asia, from Asia to, South America, and it's one game that a lot of people love and they're happy watching it. What does this say about unity on the African continent? I mean, it's even shocking that Libya, in the first place, did not even complain to CAF about what had happened to them. If there was a complaint about what had happened to them, it would have looked really good. At least we only knew about this particular issue when the matter happened in Libya. So one wonders really, to what extent really are we looking at football as a uniting factor rather than a dividing factor? Because even this has dovetailed into some role with House of Rep member asking that the High Commissioner to Nigeria, the Libyan High Commissioner to Nigeria, comes to explain what really happened. And so I'm looking at a situation where would have not just football rivalry, but would also have government to government rivalry. I mean, what do you make of this?
I also think that the whoever is the Libyan ambassador to Nigeria should be recalled. I think she should be sent back home. I think she should be sent back home. I think. I'm not a diplomat, so I may be wrong. Now, football at club level, first it's about entertainment, then about making money, and finally about, should I say, winning. But at international level, when it comes to national teams, the World Cup, the AFCON, there's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of bragging rights involved. Presidents have won re-election because of football. Football have also caused wars. There was the war between El Salvador and Honduras in the early 80s that started because of a football match. An all-out war between two countries because of a football match. So football has also caused war. So yes, football should be a uniting factor, but when we now begin to bring politics into it, then it escalates into something else. You know what happened in Libya at the Al Abrak airport between Al Abrak and Benghazi? Listen, it's turned into a diplomatic role because it's about two countries. It's about citizens of Nigeria. It's about over 50% that the government has to account for because the government flew them out of the country to another country. So yes, it got to that point. Now, should football take that dimension? No. Like we said, it should be a uniting factor. But at international level football, there's a lot of politics involved. A lot of politics involved. And this is what you get when you bring politics into it.
Right. So we have x-rayed several scenarios. What would play out? Maybe the fine, maybe a replay of some sort, maybe on a different soil. I mean, I'm just wondering, do you think that Nigeria should go back to play that game in Libya, or the CAF should explore in a neutral ground, given that, I mean, it's a country-to-country thing. They've come here to play, so we're supposed to play in their own soil.
Well, you see, as far as African football is concerned, CAF owns African football. CAF will decide where game to play and all of that. So if CAF so decides that the game will be replayed but still in Libya, then Nigeria can only write a protest, but Nigeria has to go or forfeit the game. And again, this will also show how strong Nigeria is internationally. You know, can they actually ensure that things go their way? That's Nigeria now. Now, I don't expect CAF to reschedule that game for Libya because it's not until recently that CAF allowed games in Libya. As at 2 years ago, when Eimba played in the CAF Champions League against Al Ittihad of Libya, that game was supposed to be played in Morocco, and that was a Libyan home game. But the game could not be played because of then was the COVID-19 thing, and Eimba had to pass between Tunisia to Morocco and all of that, and could not make the game. Now, but when football returned to Libya, there has been, concerns about where can the game be played? Is it safe to be played? Where are the different militia leaders, controlling in the country? Where does the UN recognize government control? So there have been those concerns. So CAF has every right to say, yes, the game can be replayed, but maybe in Morocco, maybe in Tunisia, maybe in Sudan, maybe some other country. So it's CAF's decision and prerogative. But if CAF decides that the game should be played in Libya, then the Nigerians can't do anything about it. They can only protest, but eventually we have to play the game or forfeit the game, which might mean evoke stronger sanctions from CAF. So it's this time that those phone calls should be made, those emails should be sent, those buttons should be pressed. Let's see how strong Nigeria is in the international community and what we can get for ourselves out of this diplomatic role between Nigeria and Libya.
We've seen several headlines, trying to tell this same story. You hear things like NFF scraps the match with Libya, CAF deletes the match between Nigeria and Libya. So you were wondering whether the games are not going to be played at all. Even though CAF have said that they have launched the investigation, how soon are we expecting to hear from CAF regarding this? Because again, these games were supposed to have been completed, and the AFCON is supposed to be next year.
Yes, about CAF deleting the game, that was yesterday morning. Now, CAF had the fixture schedule. And that was on Tuesday. CAF had the fixture schedule. So on Tuesday morning, which was the day of the game, on the CAF fixture list, that game was removed because it was not going to be played that day. That was brought about that headline, okay. CAF deletes fixture. Now, having said that, we have international windows where football can be played by countries. And the next international window is in November, when Nigeria will play against Benin Republic on the 15th and against Rwanda, I think on the 18th or 19th. That ends the AFCON qualifiers. after that, the next window to play international football is in March. In March, we have World Cup qualifiers. After March, the next window is in June, and we will also have World Cup qualifiers. So, I mean, I'm sure CAF is looking at the options. When can this game be played? Because the windows in March and windows in June have been taken. Now, there will be another window in September and in October and November before the AFCON proper in December. Now, they'll be looking for when can that game be played. So it's CAF prerogative. Now, if CAF has to fix a game that is not in the FIFA window, how do you get the players out to their club sites? Because they can only release players on the FIFA window when the clubs are not playing. That's where CAF is right now. So if the game must be replayed, they must find a time, a date for the game. Very important. It can't be in March. It can't be in June. It also cannot be next month. That's where CAF is in trouble. So I don't know what the schedule is like for the windows in September, October, and November next year. But they can't keep it until November for the AFCON of December. You see the problem right now. So I'm sure a lot of all of this with what is delaying CAF's decision. What do we do? Should we give the game to Libya and sanction Nigeria for boycotting the game? Or do we give the game to Nigeria and ban Libya for acts that stop the game from being held? Or do we fix another date for the game? When is that date? That will be very difficult for CAF to fix. Very difficult. Almost impossible.
Wow.
I'm just wondering, how did this incident, impact the Nigerians' reputation on the international football?
A lot of people who watched the incident play out, Nigerians, foreigners, non-football lovers from Nigeria, they were actually proud of the Super Eagles and the Nigerian government for insisting that the game will not hold. Because at the time the players held a meeting on Monday nights and informed the NFF that, look, we cannot play that game. Then there were phone calls. I know it's phone call going to Amadou Pinnick, the former NFF president who is now with FIFA. There are phone calls from CAF, urging them to still play the game. But at that time, the players had told the NFF chairman, Ibrahim Guzo, NFF president, Ibrahim Guzo, and also the sports minister, John Obaneno, that they will not play the game. And the ministry, which is also the Nigerian government, stood by the players and said, look, we will not play this game, we will return. That shows strength. You can't bully us into playing a game that we don't want to play, that we have been harassed for 18 hours, we have been held hostage, no food and water, no communication for 18 hours. We are Nigeria. We are going to go back, and we're going to damn your consequences. That was strength. Maybe some other smaller country would have been bullied or bamboozled into still playing the game. Just maybe, I can't tell. But Nigeria stood their ground and said, we will not play, we are going to go back, we don't like this treatment, we are going back home. When you decide, get back to us. So a lot of people saw it as strength on the Nigerian side. But if that North African or Arab conspiracy is true, then maybe it will be bad news for Nigeria eventually. But on the strength of the decision not to play the game, I think we are proud. I believe we are proud of what the players did and what the Nigerian government did. You don't push us around. We are Nigeria. Things may not be great inside the country, but outside, we must show strength, and we showed strength.
Right. So in just 1 minute, what would be your, what do you expect, what do you expect to happen? What measures do you expect to happen, considering what has already, played out in Libya?
I expect CAF to take the easy way out, call for a replay, a small fine to Libya, and hope that everything goes well. But if they do that, there will be a worse situation later that CAF will regret. Best thing to do, throw Libya out of the competition, ban them from ever hosting any football tournament until they can prove they're ready to receive visitors. That's the best thing CAF can do. But I don't see CAF doing that. They'll take the easy way out and just replay the game.
All right. China, many thanks for your input. We truly appreciate your thoughts on the show this morning.
The pleasure is mine.